morning.
Yeah.
It's wake up time. Wake up, Nigerians. We are here to brighten your day and, of course, put that splash of sunshine into your life with what we have stored for you this morning on the show.
So we are grateful to God for the gift of a brand new day. You know, when there's life, there's hope.
There's a reason why she's this.
What? What enthusiastic?
Fulfilled.
What?
Fulfilled.
I am. I'm always fulfilled.
She just had
always
this
happy.
very, very wonderful
Cup of coffee
that is for bandits, by the way, I must say.
Wow.
Very, very dark coffee. Not the type I would take. I step mine down a little bit, but Titi goes hardcore on that one.
No, I'm grateful to God because look at me.
Exactly.
I have a lot to be thankful for.
I remember, I just want to mention this. I remember watching this in Doctor Strange, the sequel, where the question was asked, are you happy? And you know, after thinking of different things, I've saved the world, I don't feel like it, but he said something. Wong said something, he said, I'm grateful for what I'm doing here. So to be happy, it's all about being grateful, being content with whatever you have. And in there, you will find your happiness.
Honestly, we're grateful to you for making us part of your early morning. And we are going to be here to brighten your day from this second forward. My name is Titi Lara.
I am Mike Mesikeno. If you are on GOTV, it should be channel 27. That's where you'll watch us live. And on the terrestrial band, it's the ultra high frequency 49. And if you're on the go, the TVC app is available for you to watch us on iOS and Android.
Now, social media is the in thing. We're at TVC Connect on all platforms. We love the comments, the contributions, and you know, I would love to hear what you think about my outfit.
What's it? Google, right?
Well, it's actually a jumpsuit.
Okay. But it's in the style of a Google.
Yeah. It's a really interesting style. I don't know what it's called yet. Maybe we'll find a name for it. But let's tell them what we have on the show.
All right. We kick off with a book chat. And our book for this morning is titled Amos Seed. Amos Seed is inspired by a true event and highlights the trials and temptations that couples dealing with infertility struggle with. Loretta Olumi will be joining us for that one as the author of this wonderful book. Have Oluwatosin Fashaun. He's a filmmaker, script supervisor, as well as a documentary filmmaker. We'll be getting a glimpse of his world when he joins us a little bit later on the show.
Ooh, you have the nerve. Woo!
There are very few
That does not
women.
fit you.
Wow.
There are very
Mike.
few women
You're too
in
nice for
Hollywood that can channel that
Yeah,
attitude.
it's very true.
That's nice for that.
But some restaurants have the nerve of giving dress codes these days, despite, varied comments about their actual service. Now, Winfrey, and myself started talking about this earlier on today. If a restaurant gives you...
You people started talking about it
Yeah.
without me. You had the
We're
nerve.
preparing the conversation for you.
People have the nerve. Oh, wow.
Wow.
But Mike, what do you think though?
That
You
what?
step into a restaurant, they tell you, sorry guy, we have dress code here. And you are
Depends.
not
What are you
appropriately
wearing?
dressed.
Wow.
So we've seen where you go to places, clubs and all of that, and they tell you they don't want you to wear shorts, they want you to look decent because of maybe the image they're trying to
portray.
project.
So they literally say the restaurant's dress code is smart casual.
Yeah.
Go as far as talking about blazers, jackets, and all of that.
I
Then
don't
now I
mind
think
that.
exactly. So now I think the issue here, and a lot of people are having, because you know now in Lagos, I mean, I went out with my brother who literally came from Abuja and all of that, and worked in the north for a while, and all of that came, and we went out together, and he was like, "What's happening in Lagos?
Wow.
Did these people forget their clothes at home?" So now this restaurant actually went the length to actually say girls should not be in anything short.
Yeah.
And all of that. Your dress must be midi, full length, no exposing of any, no bralettes, no sleeveless, all those kind of things. So now, what do you think about that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And that is because options. even when you go outside the country, you go to different places, and for different settings, people have different kinds of rules.
Yeah.
True.
So there are options. You can decide not to.
But what do you expect from a restaurant like that? You expect them to...
Pristine. It's going to be a very wonderful environment. If you're going to give me rules, let me have some kind of atmosphere. Maybe you're trying to a setting. You go to some place and...
It's a diner. It's nothing even...
It's a diner.
It's not a restaurant. It's a diner.
So I understand where there might be issues. But like I said, options.
Options.
There will be other places. If you don't... you can avoid the place.
Yeah,
So just hopefully you're not waiting 1 hour for your first course when you get to a restaurant that has told you what to wear. But at this point, we have to take the weather, and we'll be back with more.
Good morning once again. It's the news on Wake Up Nigeria. My name is Mike Messikeno. We begin with the security report, where the Department of State Services has identified some key players in the plot for an interim government in Nigeria. In a statement by Public Relations Officer Peter Afunaya, the service considers the plot being pursued by these entrenched interests as not only an aberration, but a mischievous way to set aside the Constitution and undermine civil rule, as well as plunge the country into an avoidable crisis. The illegality is totally unacceptable in a democracy and to the peace-loving Nigerians. The service says the machinations is taking place after the peaceful conduct of the elections in most parts of the country. The planners in their many meetings have weighed various options, which include, among others, to sponsor endless violent mass protests in major cities to warrant a declaration of a state of emergency. Now, after 2 weeks in captivity, no fewer than 5 out of the over 60 people abducted from Adunu in Kafin Koro district of Paikoro and Beni in Munya local government areas of Niger State have been killed by their abductors for failure to meet the deadline given for payment of 100 million naira ransom they demanded. Among those killed is a retired police officer, Mr. Moses Tanko, aka Arada System, and other 7 police officers whose name was not immediately ascertained as at the time of filing this report. The 2 victims among those abducted from Adunu village 2 weeks ago. A source close to the district head of Adunu, Malam Kabiru Bawa, told our correspondent that 3 women were set free by the bandits after raping them to come back to the community to tell the news of the execution of the 5 people, and threatened that more victims will be killed if their demand of the 100 million naira is not met. The State Police Command is yet to issue a statement on the latest development, and all attempts to get confirmation from the Commissioner for Internal Security and Humanitarian Affairs, Mr. Emmanuel Umar, could not yield any result. And then on to foreign stories. Outrage is growing in Mexico following a fire at a migrant center in Ciudad Juarez that killed 38 migrants. Unverified footage has emerged which appears to show the moments the fire started at a center run by Mexico's National Migration Institute. Uniformed officials seemed to walk away as the blaze erupts in a corner, leaving a group of men in what appears to be a locked cell. The 32-second clip appears to come from a security camera inside the facility, which is located just south of the border crossing at Stanton Lerdo Bridge, which links Ciudad Juarez with the city of El Paso in Texas. Mexico's Interior Minister did not deny the video's provenance when asked about the footage by a Mexican journalist.
Welcome. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Winfrey Agbelishi, and it's time for us to take some newspaper headlines today. I'll be starting with the Punch newspaper. And for the major headlines here, we have arrest interim government plotters. APC PDP tells DSS. We have that on page 2. For the writers, we have saboteurs planning court order. Protest to stop Tinubu's inauguration. Agency. Interim government alien to constitution. Campaigners pseudo-democrats say APC PDP. And to the top of the masthead, to the very left, we have presidency rare privilege. I won't squander Tinubu. We have that on page 8. And to the side of that, we have federal government plans sanctions as 633 die in oil operations. We have that on page 19, sad story. To the right of that, we have how I tackle police corruption, PSC chairman. We have that on page 8. Scrolling below the image there of people descending the aircraft, we have 26 children, 125 adult Libyan returnees land in Lagos. We have that on page 5. To the left below there, we have Ramadan. Election riggers, Yahoo boys fasting in vain, says clerics. We have burglars jailed 7 years for robbing patients. Jonathan. To the right of that, we have Whitney. Chrisland school workers trial begins today. We have that on page 28. And that's all I'll be taking for the Punch. I'll be moving quickly on right now to the Daily Trust. For the major headlines here, we have governors-elect pledge better deals, receive certificates of return. For the writers here, we have my family won't have role in governance. We have Abba Gida. It's a new dawn in Benue, Reverend F.R. Aliyah. And of course, I'll remain fair, transparent. Nasarawa governor over expectations, residents. I'll be governor for all. Rivers Fabura. Let's do it together. Buni urges opposition. We have all that on page 4. And that's all I'll take for the Daily Trust. I'll be moving quickly now to The Guardian. For the major headlines here, we have punish those behind 450 cases of poll violation. NHRC CSOs insist. And below the masthead there to the very left, we have National Carrier Airline Operators. No fate, April 25th. We have that on page 3. Amended audit bill proposes 5-year jail, 5 million naira fine for errant accounting officers. We have that on page 3. To the right of that, we have Tinubu marks 71st birthday at Hajj. Pledges to fulfill campaign promises. We have that on page 4. Outcome of BVN fraud. Probe will determine fate of protesting ex-agitators. Amnesty Office insist. We have that on page 29. And that's all we'll be taking for the newspaper headlines right now. We'll go on a quick break, and there's so much more coming right here on Wake Up Nigeria.
All right.
Full
house.
House is here. You're welcome. Thank you. What the nerve to come in by this time?
Wow, really?
So we've been going on all those nerves since.
No, it's an inside joke. You weren't here when the joke started, so you might not get it.
Yeah.
I don't intend to get it.
No, Allah. But interestingly enough, there was a topic that we started, talking about earlier on. We mentioned it to Mike as well, about being on the same, not just wavelength, but maybe drive length as your partner. Mm-hmm. Because there was a particular case that you said you were going to talk about. Yeah?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wow, you're free.
Okay, so
Winfrey.
Wake up.
Okay, so there was basically a post, right, by someone expressing himself and sharing on how he feels that his drive may have killed his relationship. So his angle was that he couldn't understand why his partner was not as driven, was not as driven as he was. He basically saw it as mediocrity, or her being mediocre, and her not necessarily wanting the best things or the better things of life. I mean, she did well, she had a business, it was going fine, but he would have wanted her to just keep on pushing. So he was talking about how for him, there is no limits, he doesn't know where to stop, because he believes anything that is created can always get better. So he was like, sadly, he got to realize that everyone's vision is different, and then that you have such drive. Some people are actually just okay being
just comfortable.
Comfortable, exactly. They don't want all like the fame, money, the wealth, and all of that. So yeah, that was basically what he was saying. And I mean, a lot of people have commented on that. So I just would like to know, what you guys think about that situation. Do you believe that,
How long has he been with his partner in the first place?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it wasn't stated.
It wasn't stated,
yes.
And, the question there is, you don't know this one before you partner up.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't find the drive. You understand? I don't get how. So that's where people see me, and when they ask that question, by the time I'm done with them a number of times, and are you married? Why not married? Look at you. Don't let me start with you. Where are you doing this because? Okay, think about it. If I have a relationship with Winfrey or TT or what would marriage do that will make that relationship more symbiotic? Is there anything marriage will do that'll make that relationship more symbiotic than it already is, or that'll make us give more value to ourselves than we already do. Some value you have with some friends, you don't need to be married to them to get to receive and give value.
True.
So the question is, what were you looking for when you got into that? Didn't you know all of this? Didn't you find out all of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so now answering that question, I would like to come from this angle. So a lot of times people say opposites attract for good reason. For instance, he's talking about career-driven.
You need that balance sometimes.
Do you understand?
And I
So
like
that's where I'm
that.
coming from. I
feel
believe
so.
you need that balance because if everybody is career-driven, what happens to the home
I wouldn't
front?
want somebody who's too out there if I'm out there. I understand that balance, it does work. And I feel that, yes, when opposites come in, they can complement each other. It does make sense. But not when you've already got to...
Well, there are different ways to look at it, to be honest. Then you could also question the people he's been talking to, the people in his circle. If at work he's having intelligent conversations with, his female peers, that would also beg to question because he wants to come home and, have those conversations with her. And she's like, not interested. So I think what he needs to do is find an area that she's more comfortable talking about. They don't have to be on the same wavelength. Like I've come to realize that we all couples grow differently. Our level of maturity, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we grow at different levels, different frequencies, different paces. So I think you should just, give her, find out what she's interested in.
And I think another thing as well, sorry not to cut you, another thing as well is knowing who fits in where. You have a wife, right, that can play that role and literally do all of that. Do you understand? Then you have friends that have that career drive and goals with you. Probably you met them at the workplace. It's for a reason. So and I think another thing, because he also mentioned it, that he didn't understand that some people are just comfortable being like that and it's okay. Because he said he saw her as mediocre. So he literally faulted the fact that she was just laid back and
I'm going to lean on what Mike said initially. The person you selected or chose to be your partner, what were you looking for? For me, for instance, the most irritating thing to me is a guy that does not have a plan. Even if you are legit broke,
what if his plan
but you have a plan
long term?
What if his plan is not to have a plan?
It's more inspiring than a guy that has just been given a nest egg from his father and doesn't have a plan.
I think what anyone should take away from this conversation is before you get into that marriage situation with whoever or whomever, have a conversation about everything that would affect your marriage so that you're not having this sort of issues after you're married.
Some people want driven men. By the time you enter now, you see how driven a man, you can play is not at home. He's driven at home. Where is what to drive to?
That's it. Let's hear your thoughts on social media. We'll take a time out. We will be back with the rest of the show after this. Wow, a bolt of lightning is 5 times hotter than the sun. Well, as a pluviophile, the one that really interests me is that rainfall contains vitamins B12, and that means I receive a lot of it because I love the rain. That's what pluviophile are for. Well, it's Tech, of course, Tech Thursday. MM is here with me. MM, how you doing?
Hello, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll start off from this one. You saw this picture of the Pope. It was trending, or it has been trending.
Yes,
where the Pope has been in this very fluffy jacket and then different.
It's called a ruffle coat.
Ruffle coat. You should know, a fashion designer. And then there's also another one of him on the DJ set. There's quite a number of them. I don't know if people didn't know that those pictures were AI generated.
AI generated.
Yes, they're not real pictures.
I am quite amazed at how, evolving the world of technology is. I mean, so I know we're not talking about it, but I'm just going to make reference to it quickly. A few days ago, my husband and I were talking about the chat GPT, and how it could basically help you. Like the minute it has your name, it knows everything about you. So I'm quite amazed that well. You guys, you're the.
So you know what happens now. This will link us to what we're starting with. ChatGPT has moved into ChatGPT 4. And then Elon Musk and 1,000 other people are putting together a petition that they should not develop it past ChatGPT 4. ChatGPT 4 is so advanced, it can now take in imagery, there's so much it can do, and they say that for the next 6 months, we should stop on advancement of AI. If not, as it stands as a threat. to humanity at this moment?
I think
Elon
so.
Musk himself.
I think so, Mike.
Well, that's the Twitter CEO said on Tuesday that the company that's talking about Twitter now had a shot at being a cash flow positive next quarter, as the social media platform has aggressively been cutting costs. Musk, speaking at a Morgan Stanley investor conference that was webcast, said it was startling how poorly Twitter managed to make money off its messaging service. The company has reduced its non-debt expenditures to about $1.5 billion from a projected $4.5 billion in 2023, helped by cutting its cloud services bill by 40% and closing one data center, Musk said. Twitter has also laid off thousands of employees and has been marked by chaos and uncertainty since the acquisition by Musk. Now, it suffered a bug on Monday that prevented thousands of users from accessing links in its sixth major outage since the beginning of the year. Now, something you know about Twitter Blue, the verified checkmark where anybody can get it, and it's about $8 as at the time to start it. Now, this is the interesting thing. Over 78% of the accounts that already have a Twitter Blue have less than 1,000 followers.
Exactly.
And then about 40% of them have basically no followers, and you already have a verification mark. So it's a problem. You know, normally that time when you see a verification mark by any...
Yeah, it's more like it gives one some sort of credibility, because you know
that's
that
the
for
word.
this person to
that's
be
the
verified, they're credible enough. It's like being on the Forbes list, right?
That's exactly.
Not anyone can just be on the Forbes list. So, I mean...
so that's the thing now. So you see somebody who can now, who has a verified check mark and can say email Koche, but they'll not use it as a username. It's not their username. It's their name. So you can see that name and see a check mark, and they will think it's you. So I don't know. Elon Musk really does have some work to do.
Do you think that Elon Musk is good for Twitter? Because there's been a lot of controversy.
At the moment now, it doesn't seem so. At the moment now. Jack Dorsey, this one's your fault. This one's on you. All right. But let's talk about cars, SUVs, the most popular category of vehicles in the world. And with a few new photos and videos, Kia is teasing the new production version of its upcoming EV9 series. Now, of course, EV is talking about an electric vehicle. And this is after its Gold Star smaller sibling, the EV6, that launched in 2021. Now, there aren't a whole lot of three-row electric vehicles on the market yet, alone full-size ones like the EV9. Some current suburban family-hauling EV options include the Rivian R1S, Mercedes EQS, Model X, and with a supremely cramped third-row seating option, the Model Y. Now, the new media shows off only a silhouette of the EV9, which will be Kia's second vehicle after the EV6, built on Hyundai's shared electric global modular platform. Kia first revealed a three-row concept EV9 in 2021, and now this new teaser reveals what seems to be a more sloped windshield. And of course, what do you think about, so with Teslas, it was Tesla that brought the whole electric vehicle mode and all that, but then there are a lot of other companies who have also ventured into it. And when do you think we can be ready? Because of course we are not ready. That's talking about
you mean
Nigeria,
globally?
Yeah. No, Nigeria.
Nigerians.
Talking about Nigeria,
yeah.
For electric vehicles.
I don't think we are ready for it yet, because now let's talk about sustainability. That's where the problem is. And even as a country, we are still yet to sort. We are still, in the phase of sorting out our electricity, right? So now talk more of. Charging your car.
You got 10 million.
It will just stop.
It is your offer, 10 million.
And nobody's going to assist you to, maybe give you some power or borrow you some power or something. You say, please, can I flag down? Exactly.
What kind of power bank for car?
And then if there's got to be a power bank, imagine how, big
it will be.
Maybe even bigger than the car.
You're dragging the power bank.
Exactly. Yeah, so
so imagine now. Imagine those people that are on 90% and they'll remove your 10% to plug their own. So you say, my car is on.
So if that is fixed, so yes, it is. I think we're not ready for it yet.
We're not ready.
I
remember this thing in Germany. Yeah, there's a particular road where the road itself is self-charging. So even if you cannot get to a spot where you can charge a car in Germany, but there are some roads that when you drive over them, just the same way you have your wireless charging.
Yeah.
It charges the car when you drive
on
over
the go. Interesting.
So quite interesting one there.
Yeah.
But of course, we really need to do quite a lot when it comes to here and get ready for that. Let's just give us power for our TV set and fan first.
Exactly.
Let's start with that one. All right, we're talking black holes now. Right now in the center of a galaxy, an enormous black hole is stretching an object apart like it were taffy, and scientists currently have a rare view and images of this extreme cosmic event playing out. A thick cloud of gas and dust dubbed X7 is rapidly approaching the supermassive black hole Sagittarius. Now let's take a listen to what they are. In simple terms, layman's terms, a black hole is a space where the gravitational pull is so strong that nothing, even light, can't escape. So imagine, you know, we'll get that. That's all quite a lot. I want to talk about all of that. But hey, man, it was a pleasure having you. Hopefully someday we'll be charging our cars and we'll not be using power banks. We'll have somewhere to charge them and all of that.
See that.
All right. Okay, that's it on Tech this Thursday morning. We'll take a time out now. Stay with us. There's quite a bit more book chat coming right up after this.
Basic. There's no.
Oh, love it, love
It's
it,
just
love
basic.
it,
There's
love it.
nothing
Oh,
special
wow.
about- You know that white babe?
Home, especially when you put your own spin on
do all
it. Thank you so much, I Am a Diva. We appreciate you for that performance. It's time for us to take our book chat, and our book is titled Omar's Sea. Now, it's inspired by true events and highlights the trials and temptations that couples dealing with infertility struggle with. And joining us for this conversation is the amazing, inspiring Loretta Olubumi Amosu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Titi. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Now, I have to ask, did you ever think you were going to write a book?
Yes, I think I knew from the 3rd or the 4th year of my wait that I was definitely going to have to write something.
Okay, so now that we've gone into the length of waiting, your waiting time, you're waiting on God for a child for how long?
8 years, 3 months, 2 weeks.
8 years,
Precise.
3 months, and 2 weeks.
Yep.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a journey.
So now I've flipped through. I haven't gone through all of it, but the amount of emotion and the rawness that you've poured into this is admirable. Thank you so much for sharing that story.
Thank you.
Now, from the first part I'm seeing here, that conversation on what the cause of the delay was, how were you able to deal with that question? What is the cause of this delay?
To be honest, I think I asked that question even up to the 8th year of waiting because I wasn't sure. So a lot of people ask, is the delay from God? You read Bible stories about how God opened somebody's womb and all of that. And other people want to know if it's a gynecological issue or if it's a spiritual issue. So I really wasn't sure of what it was until it happened. Okay. Yeah, and even beyond that, you would also wonder, okay, at what point do you mix the Christian part, being a Christian, having faith in God, and then going to see a doctor? And then some people would feel like you going to see a doctor was you undermining God's ability to do this the natural way. So these conversations actually, or these questions keep occurring in your head until you actually hold a miracle many times. I've heard of a few people who knew, but not everybody knows where the delay is from.
Wow. Okay, so now you went to see a doctor how soon after you got married?
A year after we got married, because I got married in my late 20s.
Okay.
And then the doctors would usually advise you that if you have waited a year without anything happening, or if you're 30 and above and within 6 months nothing is happening, you should see a doctor immediately.
Okay.
So for us, it was a year after.
But did you have any inkling? Did you have any suspicions before then?
Absolutely none.
Okay.
The only thing I knew I experienced was the heavy periods, because I'd always had very heavy and painful periods since I was a teenager.
Okay.
But in terms of it leading to infertility or anything like that, nothing.
Okay, so now obviously when you went to the doctor had a lot of questions to ask.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a particular paragraph where you break down some of the questions. The first question was, have you ever been pregnant? Are your periods consistent? And the answers to that were?
Never been pregnant.
Never
My
been
periods were very consistent,
Are they painful?
very painful, excruciating.
Then it goes even deeper. How many sanitary towels did you run through?
You would have to tell them the number of packs you use per
Wow.
cycle.
Wow. STDs? None,
None,
obviously.
of course.
And any previous surgeries? Have you ever Do you smoke? Do you take alcohol? All those questions.
All those questions had to be asked, and you have to answer honestly because you never know where the cause of the problem might lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is that conversation online especially where, you know, some people say, oh, is it really the woman's fault? Is it the man's fault? You probably went through that particular phase as well.
Oh, yeah.
So how were you able to deal with that?
We actually went full cycle because, first off, before it was narrowed down to being the huge part of it being me, there was some query on the motility of the sperm and all of that. And if you read the book, you will see a part where I started questioning why I got married to my husband, and I was very upset with him for certain things, and it really wasn't his fault. And then by the time it now came back and they found out that even post-IVF and all of that, there was no implantation. They were querying the quality of my eggs. They were querying the lining of my womb and everything. It just seemed like all the odds were stacked against me. That was when I realized that I actually had to eat humble pie and chill and just look up to God.
And thank God you did.
Yeah.
So you put together this book after you mentioned 4 years?
Yes, so
4 years?
in the 4th year, I started chronicling everything. I think it was the 3rd year actually, I started keeping journals. So I have like a stack of journals. There are about 6 of them now.
Did it help?
That was what I got. So all of the things you see there that sound like they're factual were actually things I had taken down during the wait because I needed to be very detailed about everything.
So now let's talk about responses to your book. Now, obviously, before you put it out, you must have had some kind of inkling of who you were writing it for. But what is the most interesting thing you've heard in response to you putting this together?
From women who are waiting, who tell me that they literally see themselves living Oma's journey. Okay. They can relate with every single step of it. So we have women who've gone for the womb massages, and then with the pain and all, sometimes they feel like they're imagining some of these things. And then women who don't know that there are options or are too ashamed or feel like going with the options that are available medically might not be exhibiting the faith that they claim that they have in God. So it's really mixed emotions. And then we have people who never experienced any of these and come back to tell me, thank you, because now they can relate with some of the things that people around them have been going through, and they feel like it's time for them to be a bit more empathetic towards people who are going through this. So it's sort of like an eye-opener for some, and it's sort of like a relatable thing for the others.
Okay, so now when it comes to getting a book published, you know, there are a lot of things that have to go into it. Now, you decided to use different character names, even though it is indicated here that it's based on true events. Why did you decide to do that?
Okay, so that wasn't me. That was my editor at the time, because when the book was written originally, it was my story, like no holds barred, everything out there. And then I asked myself if I was willing to not just tell my story, but in the process tell other people's stories and put other people out there without seeking their approval. So I had that conversation with my editor, Zazie, and she believed it was best. My husband too believed it was best for us to just rewrite a few things, so we'll leave people wondering what part of this is my story, what part of this is fiction, just to ease the pressure a little bit.
Okay, and it worked?
Oh yes, it worked, because then it made me able to launch and not be afraid that I was putting a lot more out there than I should.
So now, there's a line there that stuck out in the beginning. It says here, guard your heart with all diligence. Can you break that down just a little?
Okay, so anyone who's going through the waiting journey is very gullible and susceptible to interference from outside. Everyone seems to have an opinion. Everyone seems to know the solution to your problem. So you, at that point, need to really guard your heart and ask yourself certain questions and protect your space, your mental space, otherwise you would lose it. For me, it was largely in the word and in prayer, but for some other people, you might need to see a therapist, you might need to speak to someone who's trusted, whatever it takes to just guard your heart so that your mind isn't messed with in the process. You need to do it.
I have to say a big thank you to Loretta Olubumi Amosu for coming to share, you know, her journey, putting it together, putting this book together. Oma's Seed is our book on Book Chat today, and we'd love to hear your comments and contributions on this one. Now, if you are waiting on God, don't worry, He hasn't given up on you. Let's take a quick break and be back with more.
And we are back. Thanks for staying with us. Next, we have a filmmaker and script supervisor. He's also known as a documentary filmmaker. He is Fashoha Oluwatosin. Fashoha.
Façon.
Façon.
Yeah.
Okay. Oluwatosin. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, it's good to have you here.
Okay, so tell me about your voyage into the filmmaking industry. Why did you decide to, and when was it?
Okay, so since I've been in primary school, I've been in church drama and all of that. So I've loved to be in the entertainment industry. So right from my primary school, secondary school, then uni. So in uni, I met a lady. She's a script supervisor, and I told her that I want to study. I want to learn more about script supervising. So from there she got me on board. I was understudying her, and then from there the story changed.
Okay.
Let's talk about you being a script supervisor, right?
Okay.
When going through a script, because I'm sure like you must have met or
Gone through.
gone through several, like maybe 1,000 scripts.
Yeah.
What is that script that, is compelling for you? What's that thing when reading a script that makes it this is a fantastic storytelling? Yeah. What's that thing you look out for?
Okay, so whenever I read a script, I look out for like different things. Yes, sometimes sometimes like when the story is different from what other people have done and all of that, the cliche thing, So when I read a script, when I see something, I know that this story is fantastic. Like I want to be on it and all of that.
Okay. Now, I mean, from script supervising, you've also played a director's role as well.
Assistant director.
Assistant director. Okay, so first of all, a lot of people don't know the difference, right? I didn't also know the difference until I went to film school and realized that, production, they're like, oh man. So now, what is that different? What stands you out? Assistant director and then from the director. What are your roles, basically?
Okay, so assistant director basically is the one that helps the director, that moves the set, that makes sure that things works on set, that makes sure that all departments are on their toes, moving and making sure that, we get the day done. So basically an assistant director is just one that just makes the production move.
All right.
Okay.
Now, you have, like she mentioned earlier, you have you've been on a lot of sets, you've been involved in a lot of productions, and you have worked with different characters. And I mean the people now, I'm talking about the characters they play.
Okay.
What is your biggest challenge, through, your journey in the industry?
Wow, I've had a lot of challenges, but right now I don't think I can. I can think about one.
You can think of anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
So while you're thinking, let's actually take something we're talking about very soon, Living with Bipolar. We actually want to see a clip of that documentary.
Oh, really nice. Let's talk about what inspired the Living with Bipolar documentary.
Okay. So what inspired the Living with Bipolar documentary? This inspiration came about last 2 to 3 years. I was on a set, and then there was this particular person. Her mood switches. She's happy now, and then she's angry. And whenever she's angry, she can do a lot of things, whereby she can take her phone, throw it at people. So I'm like, this thing is not normal, but like I don't know where it is at that time.
So it wasn't an act. It was actually her personality.
Okay. So I'm like, what's wrong? Like, I need to know more about it, because every time the thing happens, every time. Then I read on it. I went online, read on what this could be. Like some people on set say, I think this person is bipolar. I'm like, oh, okay. And I went online, I read what bipolar disorder is, and from what I saw, I noticed that, okay.
You were able to connect the dots.
So what did it take you to actually put this documentary to life? Because we see you talking to different people, probably professionals. So what did it take to actually put this together?
Okay, so what it took was, so when I had this whole idea, then I'm like, I think I want to do a documentary on this.
Okay.
Yeah, so even before this documentary, I have an idea I want to shoot. Is also related to mental health as well. I had an idea, so I'm like, but when I saw this, when this whole idea came in, I'm like, let me do this, because I went online as well. I saw different content about that documentary, but I want my own to be kind of different.
Yeah. So what makes it different?
Yeah, so what makes my living with bipolar different is because some other documentaries I've seen, I didn't see like the medical practitioners are treated like.
It focused on the people living with
just
bipolar.
focused on the people living with bipolar. Like they have 3, 5 people being interviewed, but mine is different in the sense that I brought in the doctor, the nurse, the therapist, and if I want to go for, I will have brought in the psychologist and all of that, because it's a really deep topic.
Yeah.
But let me just have the therapist, the mom, the nurse.
So you
and the
actually
doctor.
met with someone who's living with bipolar.
Okay, so this came. So the lady, that's Titi, she put up all of these stuff on her WhatsApp status.
Okay.
Like she's bipolar, blah blah blah, that she's taking her drugs. So. And at that time, I was having this whole idea of coming up with this documentary.
So you reached out to her?
Yeah, and I saw her, and I like, oh, Titi, can I do this in a documentary form with you? And she was like, yeah, that she'll be happy to come on board to do that.
Talk about it.
So let's, I mean, I think it's great work. So now let's talk about other projects you have. So you have one, something about the Bamidelis.
Oh, okay.
Something wrong with the Bamidelis.
Yeah. That's that. We've done.
Tell us about that. What was that about?
Yeah, something wrong with Bamidele is 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years, okay.
Yeah. So I can't really remember.
That was a 2021
2021 project.
Right.
Yeah, it's been long. So it's just about a lady. Yeah. After childbirth, she was suffering from
postnatal depression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was suffering from that. It's a long project. Like, so after that, I've done like series of other projects.
So are you working on anything presently, and what should we be looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm working on stuff currently, and I'm also planning to shoot other documentaries as well.
Okay. You want to give us insight on some of those documentaries? What are they going to focus on?
Maybe when it comes out, you see.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's amazing when we see people focus and tell stories about issues, social issues as such. You know, people living with mental health issues. I think they should be given a voice, and that way other people could also learn from their stories as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we're wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I mean, so much more still to come right here on Wake Up Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Quick break. We'll be right back.
That woman has done to a particular Preston or Gaga. It's a story that you will get to see as it unfolds.
You've collected your own.
But then we have on our couch today, actor, lawyer, award-winning poet, Adekemi Olumide Aluko. It's great to have you. You are welcome.
Thank you so much,
You're
Mike.
welcome.
It's great to be here. I was so shocked to find out that you're actually a part of the team on TVC, because it's on the set of Covenant as well. Now I know why you're so good at acting in that role.
You know, that's where I want to start from. We see a lot of actresses or some actors that they are so good at what they do. Affective fallacy is a term that that is used. They're so good that people think that, look, this has to be you, and that is what you do on Covenant. Covenant, by the way, is airing on African Magic Showcase. Yes, it's airing now. Indeed. And how are you so good? I don't know. Let's start from there. How are you so? Because even everybody that saw it now, it's testament to the fact that you cannot move away from this character. You just what does she want to say next? How did it get to this point? How are you so good?
Well, thank you so much for the compliment. It's difficult to explain from a personal perspective why I am the way I am, but I think life experience really goes a long way in producing someone who can show off that experience of this particular special person called Fatima to the world. So as a woman in her 50s who's, gone through a whole life, as it were, one is able to understand why Fatima is the way she is. And I find her fascinating to play because we're quite different from each other. We have some similarities. Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes. We have some similarities, but we're quite different in our approach. So when I discovered her character from the script, I was fascinated. And, you know, I'm still a kid in a candy store, having that opportunity and privilege to play her, because she's a very powerful woman.
Very.
Her moral ground is a bit shaky. So she does a lot of shady things, sometimes for the right reasons. But she does have a lot of qualities that are worthy of emulation. Her strength as a woman, it's very unusual, very unique. Her intelligence, and a couple of other things as well. So she's a mixed bag.
I have to say, there's a certain level of poise, charisma, and confidence you need to carry such a role. And then, of course, also still come out here, have a conversation with us, have us drawn in the way we are. From the profile, we saw that you're also a poet. I want to talk a bit about the poetry.
Okay.
Yes. And
That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. You have a book of poetry.
No, I don't.
A book,
I don't.
a collection.
No, I actually don't.
Really? Okay.
I'm not, you know, I'm not that invested as a poet. It's just something I've loved doing since I was a child, and, you know, discovered that I was fairly good at it and started sending out some of my poems to organizations. And I began to win a couple of awards, international awards, and, you know, that has been the journey so far. So doing a collection or an anthology, something that I certainly I look forward to doing.
How did this all start from you? You are also an educator. You know, you are. Let's talk about that, because look, we always talk about teachers' reward being in heaven.
Yeah, so they say.
We are always grateful to teachers. For me, I feel like when I want to talk about professions, doctors are number one, teachers are number two. But maybe it changes because, look, the teachers have to teach the people when they're growing up.
Right.
Which started for you? How did you get to become an educator? How did this all come? A thespian, at the same time a poet. How did you get all of this into, you know?
It's quite eclectic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is quite. It is quite.
You know, I started my career as a lawyer. That's the first thing I studied. And I practiced law for about 7 years. And then I became less and less passionate about the craft, and felt, you know, I had a conversation with my mum, who's my #1 role model, by the way, till now, Professor Olumide. And we were talking about what it is that I could do that would make me really happy. My kids were very young at the time. And I was working in a corporate law firm, you know, coming home late. It was high flying, it was nice, I was wearing nice suits, but I was getting very stressed. And so I decided, let me try education. I've always loved being around children. I've always loved teaching them. And so I went back to school. I did a diploma in childhood education, and then I did a master's in international educational leadership. Wow. And the rest is history. So I started teaching in classrooms. Eventually I started lecturing and then heading schools. In fact, at a point I had my own school.
Yes, that was where I was going. Because you had a school in GRA.
Yes. And, you know, the interesting thing is life has a way of catching you out any which way, because anyone who knows my school at the time would know that we were very much about creativity and performing arts and, you know, fine arts and anything creative. And so I found myself always veering towards those activities until finally I decided to take the plunge and go into theatre. This was about 6 years ago.
Wow.
I think something happens to you in your 40s. I don't know if any of you have that experience yet. Something happens to you in your 40s where you just decide, time has gone on. You know, if I don't do what it is I really love to do,
exactly,
when on earth am I going to do it?
Oh, God. You
and
should
so
not.
I started going for blind auditions. Wow. And I would always get the leads when I went. And so I knew I was onto something.
Yes.
And eventually this phone call came through. This is my first TV outing.
Wow. And it is...
And here we are on
it is unimaginable and all of that. You see, how do people feel? You maybe your students and all of that, your pupils, when they see you, what do they tell you in that kind of role? And I tell you, for those of you who are watching, you've not seen me enough yet. Yeah. It goes deeper and deeper and all of that.
They
you know,
so
what do they say?
They are so delighted, and really for me that's one of my joys.
Okay.
Is being able to inspire them to be something I've always told my students from when they were toddlers to when they were teenagers, is be all you can be. You know, God has given you so much, and it is your joy and responsibility to use all of it to inspire the world and make the world a better place. Yeah. So they are so excited for me. They are my number one encouragers, my number one fans.
Okay.
So many of them have reached out to me on social media to say, we're so proud of you, well done, etc. And their parents as well.
As well, exactly.
You know, and even the owners of the schools where I've worked. Very recently, I took a position of principaling at a secondary school in Lagos, Temple Secondary School. And the owner of the school, Shirley Okaridia, God bless her, she has been so supportive of my acting career. So, you know, I stand on the backs of lots and lots of positive encouragement.
Wonderful.
People who really love
Wonderful.
support me.
But it does seem like at a certain age, there does begin to build this, a little bit of pressure to get a lot of things done at the same time. And then you notice that people of your age group are probably settling into one or two things.
Yes.
But you've decided to embark on something that a lot of younger people are doing. So you are in a space where the younger people seem to be thriving. Do you feel any pressure to try and raise the bar?
Pressure to raise the bar, pressure from young people, no.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so anything I put my hands to, I want to be excellent at it.
I know.
Some people will say that that's not a good thing, but I think when managed well, it's a very good thing. I think if you look at my social media handle, you'll see I describe myself as a quiet rebel. I've always been someone who doesn't want to be pigeonholed into one thing.
Going against the grain.
There's this tendency for society to tend to say, okay, this is what you do, this is what you have, okay, do this. This is who you are, okay, you must only do that. And, you know, I'm not going to have that. And I don't think any, you know, any young person today, including actors, should settle for that. Even actors have other strengths and other skills. Some of them are extremely talented entrepreneurs. And so there's so much each person has within them. And I've always just been that person who, you know, strives to just develop everything. So that when I go home...
Yeah, wonderful.
Like, was it Boswick,
Chadwick
said,
Boseman, yeah.
When I go home, I want to be able to tell God, I did it all.
You did it all. You left empty.
Yes.
And I see that spark in your eyes when you're talking about this new phase. What next? Covenant has happened. I am sure more opportunities. I should be your manager or something. Come and talk to me.
You should be. You should be.
You know, what next? Where is this going to? How far are you going to take this? Because I know opportunities will come. I'm sure they've said
amen to that.
You know, how do you, and then you said something that you started going for blind auditions.
Yeah. Yes.
You still want to continue? Would you still continue going for auditions? Because
absolutely.
There's a kid of people who feel like, I'm too big for auditions. They should just call me and something like that. What are your thoughts on that? And then what's next?
Thoughts on blind auditions. For me, it was the way to go. Was it scary? Yes. Was it intimidating? Absolutely.
To you?
You bet your life. But yeah, but then, you know, you do it anyway. You do it afraid. That's what courage is about. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's just the willingness to just put yourself out there and see what happens. And if you can just have that little bit of faith, you know, as our Lord and Savior says, nothing is impossible. So in terms of what is next, you know, I had a phone call recently. Someone wanted me to play a role in a movie. And I said, oh, when is the audition? I want to come and audition. And they said, no, we're just offering you the role straight. Like
it will happen.
I said, I want to come and audition. Because for me, the adrenaline, that excitement is part of what keeps me youthful and young.
I mean,
not always being in your comfort zone. So a lot of people that I mentor, I always tell them, your growth is just outside your comfort zone. Just come out of it a little bit and then you will begin to blossom and, you know, improve. And so for me, I chase that. I chase that and it keeps me young. You don't think I look younger than a 50-something year old?
until you mentioned it,
But-
I realized that
But I'm sure you can know that you're my favorite on that set. You know that. You should know that. Maybe I didn't say it so
I don't
much,
think I've
but
ever seen Mike Rush like this. I don't
you
think
are-
I've ever seen
you're
this
amazing.
happen on the show.
you're amazing. You're
Honestly.
amazing. Yes, I don't do that.
Thank
I
you,
do.
Mike.
I don't patronize.
Thank you.
But
I don't
you are
take that
amazing.
lightly. Thank you
The
so
great and one and only Fadekemi Olumide Aluko, aka Fatima. So let's talk about Rose. She threatened my life. How many? Yes. So I am as a presenter, an interview, and all of that. And then she becomes the. Okay, no, let me not spoil it for you. But she threatens me a lot. Like
honestly,
anytime meeting her.
if we had time, there's so many questions I want to ask you. Like I want to ask, have you met anyone like Fatima in real life?
No, you
And had to interview them, and they're threatening your life?
intimidating enough. The fear was there.
There's
It was
so
great
many
having you.
questions. There's never enough time. But I wanted to say, it seems like you had practice being an educator, working with Nigerian parents, in quotes. There's a lot of acting you have to do in some cases. But we're going to be taking you to the kitchen in a bit. No time?
There's no time. There's no time for that. But
Oh,
thank
okay.
you so much for coming.
Winfrey.
This is us wishing you the best. I will see you at the top. You will be there. I will say
Bye.
yes.
And we will meet each other.
Yes,
there.
yes, that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
and Winfrey, say hi. Say your goodbyes. What do you think about Fatima Fadekemi?
wow.
What do you think about her?
Is definitely someone that I'd like to meet and work with. Wishing you all the best in the industry. Keep flying, keep soaring.
Thank you so much.
All right. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.